went back to the city. I'm good, Nene. Thank you, Nene. My dear love, Nene. You love me long time. Oh, Nana. Love you long time. Long time. Shelly, my love, Shelly. I'm in the Bronx. I'm on the way to Manila. Manila, the Lambo Hotel Manila. I was cleaning Lambo Hotel Bronx. Now I'm on the way to Lambo Hotel Manila.
In 900 feet, turn right on Bronx Park East. On road ahead.
Oh, the subway. Shalom, very slow. Go on, go.
Turn right on Bronx Park East. Speed camera reported ahead. Turn left on Boston Road. Turn left on Boston Road.
Talk about it. We have to continue educating our children about it. We have to fight against critical race theory. We have to get out and vote. We have to organize. We cannot allow them to ruin this amazing country. That woman, that Afghan woman, is going to keep me up tonight. The way she cried. The way she cried. I'm sorry, I'm getting like emotional, but to see her and then to hear people talking about our country and saying how horrible it is, and then to hear that woman just begging for help, and to the president to say it's so messy. No, this, sir, there was nothing messy about it. What you have done,
Monetize me.
what you
In
have done
800
is
feet,
treachery.
turn left to Bronx River
People don't
Parkway
forget
South.
that. We are human beings. We are human beings. So that's why I am here. My heart and soul is for you guys, so we can continue talking about this and getting our feelings out. But treasure your loved ones. Treasure your family. Treasure your friends. Don't focus too much on your job because, let me tell you, they'll replace you tomorrow.
Police reported
Everybody
ahead. Turn
is
left to Bronx
replaceable.
River Parkway
Again,
South.
don't forget, are destined to fulfill everything that he wants from us. It's up to us to choose the right path.
Maybe
So
someday
I
we'll
end my
bring
show
by
with prayer.
again.
Pray for my enemies, that they make the right decision, and that God gives them the wisdom to do what is right. God bless you guys. John Petty, Captain Knight, Kevin McCullough, John McLaughlin, Rudy Washington, and Judge Weinberg.
In 3/4 of a mile, take exit 5, east 177th Street, to I-895 South, Sheridan Expressway, RFK.
President Biden just wrapped up remarks from the White House on his administration's latest attempts to fight the COVID-19 Delta variant. The president laying out a strategy to provide Americans a booster shot, and that those shots will be available as early as next month. The president also threatening, instructing the U.S. Secretary. This includes using all the government against governors who are trying to block. All right, President Biden says his administration will not stand around and allow governors to bully educators who are not trying to keep students safe. Also breaking tonight, an Amber Alert for a 7-year-old Queens girl abducted by her father has been canceled. Police say the little girl was found unharmed. The little girl went missing earlier this morning after a violent encounter took place between the girl's father and mother. Police say the girl was dropped off near a relative's home, and the father is still being sought for questioning. Check of your forecast for the Randy Mazza Weather Center. We're in the mid-70s throughout the night. Rain and showers for the overnight, a low of 77. 83 degrees now outside of the 77 WABC studios, and that's your WABC 77-second news update. Traffic and Transit is up next. I'm Ray Mundy, and remember, the news never stops at WABCRadio.com.
Exit right to exit 5,
Hackensack
east
Meridian Health is
177th
the only
Street,
place
to
with New Jersey's number one
I-895
adult
South,
and
Sheridan
children's hospitals,
Expressway,
as ranked by
RFK
U.S.
Bridge.
News and World Report. With Hackensack University Medical Center as the number one adult hospital and Joseph N. Sanzari Children's Hospital as the number one children's hospital. Hackensack University nationally in cardiology and heart surgery.
Neurology and neurosurgery and neurology. Learn more at HackensackMeridianHealth.org.
In 900 feet, continue to New York 895 South, Sheridan Boulevard, RFK Bridge. Then keep left.
Those waves. WEBs.
Continue straight, then use the left lane to keep left to New York 895 South, Sheridan Boulevard, RFK Bridge.
is a surrender. This is, no one's going to take they don't want responsibility for what happened, because what Kevin just explained did not happen at all. And, the Taliban were on notice. As long as Trump was president, don't kill him in Iran, or we'll kill you. And, Trump, they were scared of Trump. They laughed at what we had now. Right, and that's my point. Somehow what Biden did was a surrender and not a withdrawal, and no one's playing it that way, but that's what it was. It was a surrender. They left the equipment, they left our people. How can you leave all the equipment in the helicopter with top secret stuff? How can you do that? Did you know that they now have, the Taliban now owns more Black Hawk helicopters than 116 other countries on the planet, including our ally Australia. And the NATO, like I was talking to yesterday to Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of Canada. He was our ally in Afghanistan, right? And he said this is a surrender. It wouldn't have gone well. He was there while Bush was there, or while Trump was there. This would not have happened. And what's very interesting, very sad, is I've read that the NATO allies were not informed this was happening. And this is a terrible thing. Their people on there, they still have their people there. What are they supposed to do? Even as it was going down, John, and Mr. Giuliani said this earlier on your radio station, Joe Biden said in the room in Camp David, he didn't call any other world leaders. Wow. By the way, this is a TriCast? Yeah, CSI 70 and 77 WABC all together with the Hamptons, WLIR. And who we have with special guest on the phone?
We have Michael Goodwin on the line with us. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who, over the course of his career, has written for the New York Times, Daily News, and currently for the New York Post, as well as Fox News. His latest column in today's Post is titled, "Even Lefty Media is Turning on Joe." Welcome, Michael Goodwin.
Thank you, guys. Well, tell us what the heck is going on. I mean, we're scratching our heads and we don't know what's going on.
Well, John, I think the probably easiest way to summarize all this is that the president doesn't seem to know what's going on. And maybe if he did, it wouldn't. It is inexplicable when you watch even the top military people saying we were totally caught off guard by how quickly everything happened. And I have to say, I think there's a bit of a disingenuousness with that, because what did they think was going to happen when they they abandoned Bagram Air Base, and they essentially started evacuating people without an Air Force overhead to protect them? And the air power and the intelligence gap give up your big advantage like that. I mean, the United States have been covering the withdrawal of troops with air power and drones and everything else. What you think was going to happen? You had the Afghan military was never a grade A military, but it was functional. There were elements of it that were quite effective for many years. And you suddenly want to change the backbone of the strategy. Then you wonder why it collapses. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I mean, nobody wants to own this, of course, but that's why I think it's...
נהרת הכל בסדר, ברוך השם. בדרך לנקות הדירה של מנהטך. יהיה לי זמן. הכל בסדר, ברוך השם, השתבח שמו לעד. אוי, הסתזר חזרו, כל הזמן.
John, here's the problem. There is such hubris involved in politics. And because Trump's plan went in the order that we described, people, equipment, then the bases, then get the military out. That Biden, even when the general said, well, yeah, it was Trump's plan, but we think you should stay with it because it's what we do, it's how we leave a place. He said no. He overrode them and said, no, we're doing it this way.
There's even reports that Biden canceled Trump's plans for evacuating Americans in crisis zones just months before the Taliban took Kabul. So for him to even ignore the plans to evacuate Americans, that's treason.
How can you not call it treason? I mean, John, what do you think? I think what we saw in our national poll that we released last week, 62% of all voters across the country, thought Biden didn't think he'd make the 4 years. They think he's 78 now, he's 82 if he ran for re-election. Do you think Kamala Harris will be president? 62% of all voters said, including half of the Biden voters and half of the Democrats. So they already think he's
this was the whole point of this.
Yes, and now it's, I can hardly wait to ask next one.
In half a mile, use the right two lanes to take exit 46.
We'll rewind the tape even a bit further and put this on the table. Are we okay giving? Because when you withdraw, that's effectively what you're doing, particularly when you withdraw this way. So it seems to me that the first decision here is it really okay to pull out of there and let the Taliban have that country? I mean, that would be the net effect. I mean, there were apparently arguments in, but nobody. Without really, why would we give the Taliban the country? Why would we let them have it? And then particularly the way we did it, we basically armed them on the way out the door.
Well, I think the answer to that question, reasonable people can disagree. The failure that I believe of our leadership across the board in this matter, in the vaccine, there's no more debate. There's no more discussion. I mean, if there was true debate and you explain to the American people, you're turning this over to the Chinese and the Iranians and the Russians. Because that's who they're going to align themselves with. The Chinese and the Russians already accepted the Taliban as the government. Exactly. So the answer to Michael's question is, are we okay with turning Afghanistan over to that axis of evil?
It's not even the loss just of Afghanistan, which is awful. It's a signal that's sent to all our other allies. How does Taiwan feel today?
Well,
how does Israel feel today? How does India feel
What's the
today?
lifespan of Taiwan? Is anybody going to defend Taiwan?
Well,
That's the secret.
John, guess who started exercises in the street today?
Let's hear from Michael Goode.
Look, I mean, I think these points are all it. It's the humanitarian tragedy that happens to our supporters in Afghanistan. We know what the Taliban are. It is then that the knock-on effects of China, Russia, Iran being emboldened. And what about our allies who are depending on us to defend them against those large powers? So you mentioned Taiwan, as I did in my column. You mentioned Israel, as I did. I mean, across the regions of the world, we have interlocking interests with many, many countries that Russia does not have, that China does not have. They don't really have allies. We have real allies who depend on us. I mean, America is the guarantor of world peace in large terms. Not everywhere, and we sometimes have to engage in military actions, but it is our military that keeps the shipping lanes open around the world for trade and for travel. I mean, if America is going to retreat from this role and no longer play that role, and to do it so suddenly, to not, as you said, as someone said, not even to mention it to our allies. I mean, the Brits apparently were caught off guard, and they had the second largest number of troops there after us. So it's just a disaster that is current and will be a disaster for years and perhaps generations to come.
And the problem also is the relationship between the Taliban and Pakistan and who's going to run that ship. And they have nuclear weapons in Pakistan. And how does India feel about this?
Right. Another complication of this. I mean, did Biden consider any of that? I mean, we're gonna get the UN to wag their fingers at the Taliban, and the Taliban, when we would hunt them, they would run into Pakistan to hide. They don't have to do it anymore now. Now there's no real border between the Taliban and those two countries. I mean, there's huge geopolitical and geomilitary issues involved here. And for it just to be done this way, it seems to me to exacerbate all of the concerns anyone could possibly have.
Yeah, I believe we're in a very perilous moment because I don't think anybody in this room believes that we can handle two major conflicts right now. Not simultaneously. We can't handle the Taliban.
In a quarter of a mile,
If we
use
put
the
our
right
minds to
three
it,
lanes to exit
I want to
FDR Drive
clarify,
South.
you're not referring to our military capacity. You're talking about leadership that uses that capacity.
Leadership.
And the biggest question of all right now, when Jimmy Carter is under arm, we've got 11,000 families,
Exit right,
little
then
girls,
use the right 2 lanes.
wives, with no guarantee that they can get to the airport. Michael Goodwin, your thoughts on how we, exit? Yeah.
Well, look, I
Use the
mean,
right
we
2
don't
lanes to
even
keep
know. I
right
mean,
to
we're just talking
FDR
about
Drive
Kabul.
South.
This happened so quickly that we don't know about other cities and other regions in Afghanistan. It's a physically daunting country, and there may well be American consul officials in other cities. I mean, there are upwards, I believe, of perhaps 10,000 American citizens alone.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and then of course all the NGOs, the contractors who were working with us, and the Afghans themselves who were working with and for the Americans. I mean, there's no way. I mean, even today, General Lloyd Austin was talking about doing as much as we can by August 31st. Now, there seems to be a deadline that the Taliban has given that we will molest the evacuations until or through August. That will hold, but clearly that's not going to be long enough. All these other cities and into the airport. I mean, it is just a nightmare, and you can dream and understand how they could miss this. You know, this is talking about the elephant in the room. How could you miss this? How could you miss the possibility of this? And if there was a possibility, even a 1% chance, you wouldn't have done it this way. So how could you not have any indication of this? I mean, what about, that is a gigantic failure, not just of the Afghan army, it's a gigantic failure of the Biden administration, the military, the CIA. I mean, how did they not see this?
Just on a point, Michael, because this is John McLaughlin. I polled for Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu, for years, from 2004 up until COVID hit. And then the same I do polling for Prime Minister Orban in Hungary. And our Democratic allies, by the way, I only poll in countries where they don't shoot the posters. But our Democratic allies, after when Trump was president, Trump got attacked around the world by the media, but they knew that Trump was very reliable. They could count on him. When Biden took office, they knew they were on their own. And the world has changed. Pandemic has absolutely changed the world. Prime Minister Netanyahu is not the Prime Minister anymore. So there's another big one. What's going to happen? Stephen Harper, who was the Prime Minister for 10 years. And I think this is when they call it election through. How they're going to try to get a majority. We may not get the majority and go with a minority government.
לנקות דירה C? את יכולה לעלות לסדר דירה C?
מחר בבוקר אפשר?
אפשר, אני אבדוק מתי מגיעה, כן.
אוקיי, מחר בבוקר ב-100% תהיה נגיעה עד 10.
אוקיי, נדבר, אוקיי, כל טוב.
אוקיי.
כל טוב.
Making it, what's the perspective? When you think about a headline or even, a lot of stories will start with, there was concern or criticism yesterday. And then you say, well, who's the concern from? And it's, of course, always, when it's featured that way, it's the concern that the newspaper supports and agrees with. So when you have them painting Biden's reckless spending as efforts to help, then they're pushing it. That's their propaganda view of it.
Michael
We're
Goodwin,
not seeing that now.
thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for getting that wisdom out. God bless you and God bless America. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Let's take a break now. We're going to come back with Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a guy that knows a little bit about national security.
Paid for by Bar Justice. Attention, victims of clergy abuse. If you or a loved one has suffered abuse by a clergy member or a priest, then you must listen to this message. Our attorneys have resolved clergy abuse cases and confidential consultation to finally address this abuse and help you get the compensation you deserve. Has been paid out to settle allegations of sexual abuse by
Julia, what's up, Julia? Where you from?
In 1,000 feet, use the right lane to exit right.
What you have and believe in your country.
Listen to the Rita Cosby Show. Weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC.
Introducing a breakthrough in time management technology. A whole new day of the week. It's called Someday. Ingenious. Perhaps someday you're going to go skydiving. Enter a hot dog eating
Exit right to exit 12, East 63rd Street, New York 25 East, Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge. In 300 feet, use the left 2 lanes to turn left on York Avenue.
You can estimate your future benefits, plan for your retirement, and how to save for it. If you already receive benefits, you can manage them online. Millions of people already have a My Social Security account. In fact,
What's up?
someone opens one about every 6 seconds. Get yours today, because someday is here. At socialsecurity.com.
This is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. So they say Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. It's Happy Meal, from McDonald's Happy Meal.
We're back. That continues with the number 1 show at 5 o'clock. And Lydia, are you still your special guest?
That's right. Combat, decorated U.S. Marine, a TV host, a military historian, a best-selling author, and I think he knows a little something about national security. Welcome, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North.
Great to be with you all again. And also a person way too familiar with a place called Afghanistan. Alice, what the heck is going on and who called the shot? You know, apparently, according to what he said yesterday, the commander-in-chief said the buck stops with him. And if that's true, okay, then we're in deep, serious trouble. So
Turn left on York Avenue.
Of people trying to get out of Afghanistan right now. I mean, the problem was, and he described it very accurately, except that he was describing the wrong thing. And what happened over there?
In 400 feet, turn right on East 61st Street.
The kinds of things that are now happening right in front of our eyes. And I've spent the better part of the last 72 hours on the phone with people who I know who are trying to get out. Some of them are Americans. Many of them are Afghans who helped us. And they have no way of getting through the cordon that has been established by the Taliban. When Mr. Biden said in his remarks that, quote, this happened a lot faster than we thought it would, that there's a hint right there. It unfolded faster than we expected, is the way he put it.
Viva, viva,
The
viva.
Taliban seizure of the country. They really expect that, going all the way back to when these conversations with the Taliban began.
Viva, 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 viva.
Turn right on East 61st Street.
We know that he came to office in January. The election was in November. He came to office in January. What transpired between January and what's now transpiring now?
In 800 feet, you'll arrive. Your destination will be on your left.
Legitimate force to be reckoned with, I guess. Which, quite frankly, is beyond what I thought would be a wise thing to do way back when it started the last administration. But in any event, what did they do to prepare? Apparently, what they started to do was to shut down every U.S. base and get the hell out of Dodge. Forgetting that perhaps there are probably in round numbers over 150,000 people who have been working with us closely on the Afghan government. Some of them were military, some of them were police, some of them were intelligence, some of them were medics, some of them were running hospitals, some of them were picking out porta potties, crying out loud, all over the base for 20 years, all over the place for 20 years.
You've arrived. Destination is on your left.
And I have to give Mike Waltz, who is a congressman from the 6th District of Florida, a lot of credit, because he and I first met on the battlefield over there when he was a Special Forces officer. And he and I have stayed close. And so when all this balloon first started to come apart over a month ago, he and I had some conversations about, how about the Turks? Here's my list of 19 Turks that I used, Ollie North, as a Fox News correspondent.
Number hotel, real quick.
And what's being done to get them out? And of course, I don't know if
Yeah,
you
you
heard
move.
Mike on Fox over the course of the last several days, but Mike has described what
Can
happened
you move
to
back
his
here,
firm
David?
once they found out who he was. The Taliban have a great network of intelligence operatives, as almost all good big terrorist organizations do. And when they found him, they went to his place, found his documents, brought him back to his home, and beheaded him in front of his wife and children. And so where we are, John, is we're now in a situation where there are literally tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 people in that same predicament, and absolutely no capacity to bring it out. Now, we'll commit news right now. In the Austin press conference, which is a joke in many respects, certainly the way the Secretary of Defense presented it. I mean, you and I have been around long enough to see lots of Secretaries of Defense give lots of briefings. That was terrible. And really was not much better. He gave away a little secret in the middle of it. He acknowledged that they're no longer able to use the ATC system for instrument landings. He said that, right? I'm paraphrasing. If you go back and you play that little soundbite, it's rolled right into a bunch. Oh, we've got some challenges here, you know. Some of it's the weather and some of it's crowds of people. And he lodges that right in the midst of that. What that means is, in aircraft, in pilot parlance, in airplane parlance, it means that you can no longer have a half-mile or a 1 mile separation between aircraft coming in from Turkey, UAE, and some flying all the way from the States. You can't do it with a half-mile separation. You now have to have visual recognition, which means miles of separation and in altitude and in distance, and which delays everything, both coming and going out of the country, into the country and out of the country.
Well, who's the general in charge of Afghanistan right now? Or what?
No, well, I mean, we've got 7,000, I guess, we're in round numbers right now. They said 6,500, I think, in the press conference. But we'll have around 7,000. And one of the things that's got to change, for example,
simple ingredients, quick preparation, pure goodness on the grill, 100% simple, 100% real pork.
Here's what you need to know about Chromebooks. Chromebooks are powerfully simple laptops. If your child is at least 12 years old, getting them vaccinated against COVID-19 will keep them safer everywhere they go and whatever they do. Get your child vaccinated against COVID-19 before school starts. Visit nyc.gov/COVID vaccine. No matter who you are or where you are, you can achieve your career goals at Purdue University Global. Just like me, choose from over 175 online programs. Apply now at purdueglobal.edu.
woman should have a care team like the team I have at Parsley. This is what healthcare should be. I remember climbing the stairs of the subway once, getting to the top of the subway stairs and feeling winded and thinking, this is not right. I'm young, I'm healthy, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I was exhausted, feeling disconnected from my body, feeling like I was kind of watching myself go through the motions of life. I got diagnosed with fibroids, and the doctors that I was going to at the time really didn't have solutions. The healthcare system in general, I think, often doesn't show empathy toward the healthcare concerns of women, especially Black women. My symptoms got really worse. I needed to get more help. Going to a traditional doctor was really about having to be a warrior, like having to walk in and have to advocate for yourself. I came across Parsley really in an online search. Going into a Parsley appointment is very different. It is about feeling cared for. It is about having a team that knows you as a person and is working with you towards your goals. The hormone test that I took with my Parsley doctor really told the story of what was contributing to the fibroids. The picture became about balancing hormones to resolve the fibroid issue and dealing with the symptoms that the fibroids cause. For the first time, someone was explaining to me what was happening and giving me tools to actually change the picture for myself. The Parsley regimen was a lot of supplements to kind of replenish and rebuild. We focused on nutrition and diet. So it was about me as an entire human being. My life has been upgraded. The fibroids are under control. My anemia is under control. My energy is back. My vitality is back. I can show up more fully human with my family, with my friends. What's different now, being able to get up in the morning and meditate, being able to take a yoga class, make the right decisions about food, like all those things are incredibly hard when your body is battling itself for energy. I think every woman should have a care team like the team I have at Parsley. They're a partner, a true partner in helping me live life to the fullest. This is what healthcare should be.
to go out to eat in Manhattan, do something to
כן.
the
אתה מסדר את הטלפון.
everything is completely bogus. Also, replace almost
הלו. כן. יש מי שקורא, יש מי שעונה. טוב, תקשר שוב, לא שומעים אותך. Call again, can hear. No caller ID. אתה לא מדבר, אתה מתקשר ולא מדבר. No caller ID, למה no caller ID? בדרך כלל אני לא עונה לטלפונים האלה. יש סקאמרים, אני לא עונה.
יש כל מיני סקאמרים. מה קורה?
לא, אתה לא מסדר את זה. לא, אתה לא מסדר. לך לסטים. אתה יכול לסדר את זה מהסטים איזושהי דרך.
כן.
הייתי בברונקס, הייתי מנהטן. סידרתי קצת.
את הסידורים, מה שנקרא?
אני לא סומך על רחל, הם צריכים לנקות דירה סיעה, מחר בבוקר אני אבוא. כמה פעמים קרה שהיא אמרה תבוא והיא לא באה, והאנשים באו, ראו הפוך, עזבו את המקום.
אז היא באה, היא לא באה לכאן בשעה 7. היא מזדקנת, אז היא עייפה לכאן.
כן, לא הייתה לסמוך עליה. גם אם נקה, היא עושה סבטוחה כזאת.
מלכלכת יותר מאשר מנקה. תגיד לזה, את מלכלכת יותר מאשר מנקה.
יש בחורה אחת, שבוע אחרי שעזבה את המקום, שולחת תמונות כאילו בית בג עקצו אותה. אמרת לו מה, שבוע אחרי שעזב, היא רוצה חזרים, כספים. שאוכלת את כל האוכל ורוצה, אתה יודע, כסף.
כן. תגיד לה, באותו יום את צריכה להגיד יש בית בג ולעזוב, לא שבוע אחרי שאת רוכבת.
כן.
היית שמה.
עשתה לי בית ריביו מניאקים Airbnb, בגללה סגרו לי את המקום לשבוע. אמרת לה, צריך לתבוע אותה. על שקרים.
זה הבעיה עם השמאלנים, שהם הולכים לטובת התוקף, לא לטובת הקורבן.
כן, הם משקרים, מקבל החזרים. ההוסט מקבל בעיות. הם משלמים להם, לא חזרה, ומורידים לך, הם לא שואלים אותך.
הם לא מתחשבים שההוסט יש לו הוצאות, יש לו זה, חושבים שההוסט מיליונר.
והם חיים על ההוסט.
והם חיים על ההוסט, הכי כן.
אובר, כל האובריט, הקרב,
על נהגים, זקנים, מה יש להם? זה כל מה שיש להם, דופקים אותם. והנוסעים, אתה יודע, אלה אנשים עם כסף, טיולים, עמיין, וזה. הולכים לטובת הנוסעים.
שיושבים טוב. אלה שיושבים טוב.
כן. צריך ללכת למלקום, לקחת את ציוד צילום, יש לו ציוד $2,000 שהוא רוצה לתת לי.
מה זה חכה? כבר מדבר על זה שבוע.
אני לא רוצה לבוא לעזור לי לקחת.
לא יודע, יש לי זמן, אתה יכול לקחת אובר. אולי הוא... לאיפה, כאילו ממנו ל... כן, מי עובד? אתה צריך זה, לקחת אובר או מונית, או מרקו, יותר לך אחד מהמוניות.
אני עכשיו במשרד ב-23 סביב לשניים.
כן. איזה משרד יש שם? פדקס שם. זה מול הפלאפל אופריישן. הם לא סגרו, הם רק תקנו את המזגן. הם לא סגרו, רק תקנו את המזגן.
יש להם כוסיות שופטות שם.
כן, זה מקום של לבנים, לא ערבים ולא שם.
זה דובי, זה כוסית עוברת יום.
אחד מהם הביאה לי את הטלפון שלה, את הסלפון. אמרתי לה ככה, אני אתקשר מהאוטו, אני אזמין אותה שתביא לי לאוטו.
כן. רוצה לתאמן לטלפון. תלך עכשיו את
אוטו?
כן.
אתה צריך אופניים.
בוא ניקח אצלך את האופניים.
אני לא בבית עכשיו, אני בלגן.
לא, הבאתי את המפתחות, אני חושב.
כן, אבל איך תנעל אותם? אולי תיקח את האופניים השחורות האלה שמצאתי?
הבאתי לך את המפתחות.
הבאת לי את המפתחות, קודם אצלי.
כן. לא, אני אקח את הרכבת.
אה?
בוא ניקח את הרכבת.
כן, קח את הרכבת.
כן.
אבל בשביל שלב אתה צריך שיהיה לך אופניים בעיר בכל מיני מקומות.
כן.
איזה קטעים מול הדירה בברונקס שמו הרבה, אתה יודע, וספות שמזכירים וקורקינטים שמזכירים, אתה מבין?
שמו אותם בטח ליד הסמכות שאנשים כל שחוסר וקורפס.
כן, אתה יודע, אנשים יוצאים מהרכבת, חיים קורקינט הביתה, אתה מבין? הם גרים קצת רחוק מהרכבת, שיטה טובה, לא?
כן, עכשיו מתחילים לעשות גם מכוניות כזה, החברה הזאת היא רבל, מתחילה לעשות גם מכוניות.
זה ליים ואיבו.
לא, יש גם רבל,
כן, הם כמו רבל, קוראים להם ליים ואיבו.
הצבע אחרת,
רבל.
רבל. אז להם עוד שמות?
אני יודע, רבל. עכשיו הם עושים גם מכוניות כמו של אובר.
ליין אין ליבו?
לא, זו חברה אחרת, ליים, לירוקים ואיבו.
ליבו?
אז הזכרתי, הלכתי למכבסה, הלכתי פה, שם, לבורקס, כל מיני מקומות.
אבל יש לך עוד, אז מה אתה עושה?
אה? יש
לך עוד, אז מה אתה עושה?
לא, עולה פחות מהחנייה, זה 20 סנט. אז ככה, בקטע.
מה זה אתה אומר? תזכירו אותו עולה פחות מלחנות את האוטו?
כן, טיקטים וזה, אתה יודע, גם בשביל הקטע, הולך למכבסה, הולך פה, שם. כל פעם, סידורים באזור, אתה יודע.
כן.
הוא הביא לי גם שתי קסדות חינם, אני אביא לך אחת. אתה צריך קסדה?
זה לחזר אותם, מה זה?
לא, הוא אומר, זה ככה, לשימוש אישי, מחלקים אותם חינם.
מחלקים כמי החברה מחלקים קסדת חינם?
כן.
זה קטעים והרבה אמיתה.
אתה יודע, זה קסדה אישית, שאתה מזכיר, אתה מביא אותה איתך, אתה מבין?
כן.
לקחתי, כמה לקחתי? 3, 4. שמתי אחד בברונקס, אחד למרים, אחד לחיים, אתה רוצה.
כן, יפה. כל הכבוד, יפה. מה עם הילדה?
אבל מגושמים כאלה, גדולים, לא מהקלים החצאים האלה, הסטייליסטים.
הם תמיד עושים את הקטעים מסך בפעסה כזה.
אתה יודע, הסטייל כזה.
יענו לא קולי, אתה אומר.
בסדר, גם טוב.
הם לא עושים קול שלא יגנבו.
עושים זיקי שלא יגנבו כמו שאתה אומר.
כן. כמו אופניים, עושים אותם זיקיות.
לא, זה כאילו מיוחדות כאלה. מיוחדות.
אבל בכל זאת גונבים אותם, אני רואה.
ראיתי שחור אחד הולך לאופניים, מנסה למשוך אחד, עד שיצא לו אחד במקרה.
אם לא הבנתי, מה ראית?
שחור אחד הולך לסיטי בייק, מנסה להוציא אופניים, לא הולך לו, אתה יודע, למשוך אותם החוצה. בסוף הצליח, בסוף אחד יצא לו. לפעמים זה לא ננעל לאנשים.
אז הוא מנסה מה שלא ננעל?
כן, הוציא אחד, לקח נסע.
פעם ראיתי אחד הסגיר אופניים, נכנס לחנות. לקראת מס, אז בקושי גנב לו אותם. זה $1,200, חייבים אותם.
כן.
$1,200.
יש כאלה מביאים איתם מנעול, נועלים אותם.
מה?
יש כאלה מביאים איתם מנעול, נועלים אותם.
כן. אני פעם ראיתי סיטי בייק מפורקים לגמרי, רק הרמה נשארה.
יש כאלה צובעים אותם.
ראיתי אחד צבע צבע,
רואים, הכל שחור, ורואים שזה פניים של הסירה.
צבא ירוק כזה, פסיקי גנב אותם.
אני חושב שגם אני ראיתי. הם משתמשים בהם לשליחויות. אחד בא לבניין שלי כל הזמן, מביא אוכל. אומר עליך, הוא מזכיר אותם $100 לשנה. הוא לא נועל, לא כלום. אם היה מזכיר $100 לשנה, הוא היה נועל אותם, הוא לא נועל.
אם היה מזכיר, אולי הוא היה נועל, כי זה מחייבים $1,200.
כן, הוא לא נועל, סימן שלא אכפת.
כן. פעם קוראים לו זה. דיברתי עם מישהו שככה הפסיק טיפה לזה. חצי אחד. הוא לא נעל כפר, אמרתי לו, אתה יודע, זה בישראל, אם לא תדעה, אם דיברו לך אותם.
כן.
זה $1,200 וזה.
סיבן בלבי. ג'ולי, וואטסאפ, ג'ולי. אני אדבר עם ג'ולי, אני רוצה לראות אנשים. בא לרחל, אתה יודע, פוד דליברי, מפניים אירו חדשות, מפתחות בחוץ, הכל בחוץ. אני אומר לו, you lucky I stand here to watch your bike, somebody else will steal it. שמרתי לו על עד שיבוא. ממש הולך למסור אוכל, והמפתחות לא נועל, הכל ככה מוכן. רק תיקח. היסח דעת, זה בעיה.
שמתי לב כל השכחים שלהם, אתה מנעו לצהוב. יאללה, מדהים לעדים. אתה יודע, את העבודה במשרד.
ורדה מתקשרת, אומרת אין אפגניסטן, אין סין, אין רוסיה. העולם נמחק, מהר לבוא לארץ.
אין אפגניסטן, אין סין, אין רוסיה, אין אמריקה. אתה חפר והייתי צעק עליה, עכשיו אני לוקח אותה בסבבה.
אני אומר לה בדרך.
עכשיו אני לוקח אותה בסבבה, אמרתי מה, אתה לא מתחצפן יותר? אבל אתה לא, לוקח את זה בטרפיטור. בינתיים, כבר תשלי בריאה. ילדים שתיקה, רק מרגיז אותי שאתה מביא לי לראות את הילדים. אתה תביא לראות את הילדים, לא אסור, הם גדולים אסור. אמרת לה, מה אסור? מה אני... זה יבחן אותם. תדבר איתם.
כן, גם לזהבה היא לא נותנת. לא לראות, לא לצלם, לא כלום.
כן, אבל... אם אחר תגיד לך רגש לילדים שלי, אני אומר לה, על מה אין לי רגש? אני לא רואה אותם, לא יודע איך הם נראים, לא כלום.
לא שייך.
אני אומר להם, יש לי רגש, אבל תדעת, כשהם פחות רואים, הרגש פחות עובד, צריכה להבין. אני אומר, הנה, ילדה של פעם אחרי זה מתוקה, כמה אני אוהב אותה, כל פעם אני רואה אותה. יאללה, היא אוהבת אותי. שחקים ביחד. איך גדל להסעה כפת עלינו?
לא, רוב הזמן אוספים לו אותו עם גומי, אבל שהולכת לישון, מציעה את הגומי.
מה אתה עשו? אני רואה שזה ארוך.
לקחנו אותה לגן חיות במנית, סנטר פארק
איפה
זו.
בסנטר פארק? בדרך כלל של טראמפ?
סנטר פארק זו. ראתה את הסי ליין, את המנקי, סנייק. זו פעם שנייה, שלישית שלקחנו אותה לזו. לקחנו אותה לזו במיאמי.
הלכתי אתמול לרב, אז עברתי, ראיתי כזה ילדים שחקים בגן, אז שאלתי את גנה.
גרי, וואטסאפ, ג'ויס, ג'וזף, ג'וליה, שלי, וולקום בק.
אתה שומע? אמרתי לה, בת אחי, בת 3, אתם מקבלים בלוק 3, הוא עושה לי, לא לקחתי 2.
מתקשרת, אומרת, מזמינה מישהו מהארץ ל10 ימים. רוצה שאני אבטל את כל הבוקין וזה, של שטרמח אחד שמגיע מהארץ. אמרת לה, לא, צריך להזמין לפי הספר. לראות מה פנוי וזה, זה לא הולך ככה.
תגיד אתה מה זה ל10 ימים? זה $1,500.
לא, מוכן לשלם לה, אבל יש לי כבר בוקים של אנשים אחרים. לבטל ב-Airbnb, עושים בעיות, הקנסות.
כן, תגיד לה, את לא יכולה לבטל, את לא קנסות, תקצינו את החשבון.
בסדר, תבטלי. תפסידי את ההכנסות של הבוקין האלה וגם תשלמי קנסות.
כן, גם תשלמי קנסות.
כמה מחשבה שלה, היא מביאה לקוח, כאילו חוסכת את התפי שלי, אתה יודע, התפי של 15% שלי ועוד האחוזים של...
כן, היא חושבת ככה.
ככה החישובים שלה, אתה מבין?
כן, לא, יעשו לך קנסות אם תבטלי, וכאן יסגרו לך את החשבון, ואחר כך לא ילך יותר לקוחות.
תפסידי הכנסות של כל השנה, לא רק של 10 ימים.
כן. Thank you for the flowers. Appreciate it. Sit up and give me a strong hand. האמת עכשיו אני מריח את הפלאפל, אבל אני צריך לעלות קצת תפילה.
קנה לך $1 פיצה. יש שם בפינה $1 פיצה. יש שם בפינה $1 פיצה. לא הבנתי אותך, מה אתה אומר?
אני אומר לה, אמרתי כן, שינית. אוטובוסים חדשים, אתה יכול להתחיל את הטלפון?
כן, גם בארץ, אבל החוט נופל, בארץ שמו את זה בתקרה. כשאתה שם את הכבל, הוא כל הזמן נופל לך, זה דפוקים.
זה סיוע על הכיסא
קצת, אבל אם אתה שם את זה מהתקרה, זה נופל כל הזמן.
אתה חוזר בכיסא לפניך, אתה במדעים. אתה לא צריך חוצה רוב, לידך.
כן, אבל שלא תשכח את זה.